This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach. How you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. We're back at that time where there's like another game that matters. It's been a long 2 weeks in our world, right? Hopefully, also this episode won't be lost media. That'd also be
that.
been
That would be
transitioning
nice.
background stuff. So apologies for the bits and pieces that have been going on. But yeah, no, I'm not too bad. I'm kind of cautious about the weekend.
Yeah?
Cautious still, very, very cautious.
Cautious or cautiously optimistic?
No, not cautiously optimistic. I mean, arguably, the cautiously optimistic part comes from the fact that we are playing a team that have a lot of injuries, right? Like, we haven't had the press conference yet because apparently Tom just doesn't like us and wants to do them on a Friday, which is less than ideal for us. So
he's got to listen to our match preview, mate, to know what's going on.
If that was the case, he would have changed a lot of his plans, and they would be wildly more inconsistent depending on how we feel on the day, right? So, yeah, swings and roundabouts. But yeah, no, I'm still very cautious. Like, I'm very aware that Doncaster was far more difficult than it needs to be. I think you take it with the pinch of salt that it was a rotated squad. By the end of the game, it wasn't really much of a rotated squad, and we didn't get to add a goal. And that last game against Middlesbrough was just terrible. So, yeah.
But
the idea that we're playing an injury-ravaged side is good. However, the last time we played a side that were ravaged by injuries and we thought we would wipe the floor with them, we also didn't. So, yeah. That's how
it's going to be an interesting game. Well, I mean, looking at Hull and their form, obviously they're sort of right up and amongst it this season.
Yep.
Doing pretty good stuff. But, I mean, even up in 7th, I mean, the stat that jumps out at me is obviously 25 games, 40 goals scored, goal difference +2. So that's pretty leaky as well. Like,
yeah, but we also played them quite recently, and that didn't end too well for us either. And that's because we also came into that game being very sort of like, wow, it's Hull City, we should be beating them. And I don't really feel that way anymore. So
yeah, they beat us 3-1, right, in that game. It was not great.
No, it was not good at all. So yeah, like, just because you've got a leaky defence doesn't mean that we are able to put our chances away, I think is what my point is more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, but our form at home is reasonably good. Yeah. Is that something to take optimism from? Like we don't lose at home often, even if the feelings of games at home are frustration at the end of it. It's
well also what you don't want, Greg, is the fact that this would be their first league double over us since 1950 to 51, and once again, records are there to be broken.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's to be clear though, that is a good point. I just don't know how much I put that behind. Like, I can see it turning toxic if it goes wrong, right? That's the problem, is that we're very, very much on the, I don't know, it feels, we were talking about this last episode, on the precipice of like crisis point, or whatever you want to call it. Like, me and you are kind of like, I don't really think we're there, but a lot of other people feel like that. And you saw the chants at Doncaster about Sports Republic and stuff, and that is bound to have a mentality shift if people are turning up and being rowdy about it, which, probably as is their right. But for me, that means that it kind of turns the tide of what made it a fortress beforehand, which I guess was also still mugging off Sports Republic, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I mean, especially off the field, you think about some... let's go with the word interesting decisions, right? They're not going to be unilaterally popular, right? Like letting Ronnie Edwards go to QPR.
weird. Still feel like that whole thing was a bit weird.
Oh, yeah, this whole Larios thing where he's supposedly off to a European club is just a bit. It's all just a bit weird, right?
That doesn't surprise me. That I just don't think he's ever been back in the plans. Right? They've loaned him out to get first team football. It doesn't feel like for me there's ever really a plan to rehabilitate him and put him back in the squad. Like it just hasn't felt like it. Like you kind of forget he's here until a new story pops up. And that's no disrespect to the guy. Apparently, everyone said he's a really nice lad. It's just that it's just not a thing, is it? Really?
Yeah, it's tricky. Oh, you're right. It's another one though that we're going to have to not underestimate. You know, it's going to be a difficult game.
Yes.
We have to take it seriously. Do you think? I guess let's head into that part. Do you think we're sticking with this sort of back four thing, or do you think he's sort of wed to this back three that he kind of sort of switched back to at the end of the Doncaster game, but also sort of not really? It wasn't quite in the same way.
I don't know. I don't think that. I think he's still got enough excuses to play a back five. I still think that the point of player power might have something to do with it. If I'm totally honest, you know, if it's because we're shifting Ronnie Edwards to get in a centre back who then can play in a back four without it being like a problem alongside Quasi or whatever, sure, I guess we'll see what happens. But I just think that if the justification is we'll score more, and we did score 3 against Doncaster, to be fair, but then immediately League Two. And the only way we feel okay is if we have a back three with the two wing backs. I just kind of feel like that's what they're going to carry on doing. It's just strange. Like the problem is when it was there was the right place to take the risk, but almost within 10, 15 minutes, and the fact that they blamed it on that. Well, he sort of tended to blame on that, right? Even though you rightly pointed out that formation didn't make a blind bit of difference to how all those goals were conceded. The fact that we can't seem to clear a set piece to save our lives. So, like, it just depends on whether or not he can be bothered to put up with the rage of the fans when people immediately realise. I'd like to see
well, that's the thing, right? You talk about like the importance of the atmosphere and how it might, turn on a dime, but you're off to a bad start naming a back effect what will be seen as a back five against a team like Hull who are going to play at us, sure, but are also like you alluded to, ravaged with injuries, right? Like this is not the game to do it. I don't think it feels like stick with the back four. Stick with Quasi and Harwood Bellis and just, see what comes of it. Get some goals against, like I say, a defence that is not assured even when they, don't have injuries on the cards. So it just feels like it has the potential to be a high scoring affair.
For both teams, to be fair, like they've had the only team that's had better away form than them since October is Coventry, right? So they've taken 16 points, 5 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. So yeah, like I don't know what. I'm sure you'll get up your little ridiculous AI spiel at some point. However,
I've got it ready.
However, the terminology and the wording around high scoring affair means I just hope that it's going to be better in our favour. But I just don't really have I don't know. I don't really have the hope. And you talked about it recently with the hope that kills you. Like we put out what I consider to be our strongest 11 against Middlesbrough, got absolutely mauled by them, and I'm cautious about how we're going to come up against Hull. And regardless of injuries or not, they are doing better on the road. Yes, we haven't lost at home for a while. So yeah, I know you're trying to kind of infect me with come on, it might be all right, mate. I feel like they are the ones to change my mind, not you.
Yeah.
From what I've seen over the last couple of games, it's not been great. And then we've also got all this obviously transfer window being open. Means that we've got a lot of stuff just floating around it, right? So there's, I don't know if you saw today, there was talk about potentially Armour has been on Wolves' radar, which I think was quite surprising being an ex-baggy. But he's been on Wolves' radar, and apparently they've inquired about him at the beginning of the window or whatever. So we on top of the fact that we've already got a team of people that aren't doing that, haven't had good recent form over Christmas. You've
There's
then
an
got the
additional
unsettling
layer
aspect.
of that's not ideal.
So yeah, I guess we'll have to see ultimately what happens. But yeah, I can't say that just because they've got injuries and just because our home form is all right. I can't say that I'm hugely confident as much as I'm sure you're going to be.
Well, look, before we get into our predicted team lineups, let's go to the alluded to spiel, the little AI analysis of historic stats and current form. It says the likely outcome suggests that Southampton have a better chance to keep a clean sheet than Hull, which might be the first time I've ever read that sentence. The first half with both teams to score is about 25%. Don't expect a sprint. The mid-game momentum is more common than a second half surge. The prediction being Southampton to win, both teams to score, and over 2.5 goals. The likely score line around 3-1 to Southampton. Expect a lively second half and a high corner count. It says why this works because the home XG advantage combined with Hull's weaker clean sheet odds and a stronger tendency for higher corner games supports a Southampton win with goals for both sides. A mid to high scoring affair with busy key moments at set pieces. It's not wrong,
I
is
like
it?
the idea that it seems to think we're going to win despite there's going to be loads of set pieces.
Yeah.
I find that very
Well, some of those set pieces might be ours, right?
and we're notoriously good at scoring those recently, right?
Well, I mean, better than last year.
Slightly better. Yeah, Ryan Manning scored 2 and Siemens has come close and
He had a couple from corners.
Taylor Harbour-Bellis has had a couple from corners. You're right.
Yeah, it's getting there. Right, let's get to it. Let's do the predicted lineups. I mean, you wouldn't let Baz go out on loan after bringing a new goalkeeper in if you were going to bring in McCarthy, presumably.
Oh, it's funny. It's even a question. Yeah, I guess correct starts.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Guess we'll see what happens there because I'm very interested. Obviously, conceding 2 goals like against Doncaster wasn't great. Not really on him, but it will be
No.
interesting to see how he does and whether people's opinions on Baz will change off the back of it,
Yeah.
or he will actually shore us up properly. And if he does shore us up properly, and we actually, start to stave some of the goals that probably shouldn't have happened, how much of an effect it'll actually have on where we are in the table over time, and whether or not it will vindicate all of the people at the beginning of the season turned around and went, "We need a new goalkeeper," and everyone, and then towards probably going, "Nah," and then, "Oh yeah, no, it turns out we did need a new goalkeeper." But I guess fair play. Once it was actually recognised as a problem, they've been very quick to do it and sort it out. As much
It's
as
just it's an element of the unknown about it, right? Like it's still a lot of
yeah,
eggs to put in one basket.
I
For
don't I
sure.
don't know how good the guy is realistically. Like,
No.
we're
But we'll
judging
see.
one performance that isn't, so we'll have to go and see how it takes over time. It's always just the worrying piece of the puzzle, right? I don't want it to be. We take too long to bed in players. We've still got players that are new and haven't quote unquote bedded in. How long does it take? But I guess with a goalkeeper, it's not like they need to learn ridiculous things. It's usually just, hey, keep the ball out of the goal.
Indeed.
Unless you're a Pep goalkeeper, but that's different thing in it.
Then right, back 4, back 5. What we feeling?
How are you feeling, mate? Because I can't predict it.
I'm thinking back 4.
You think that they'll stick with it, yeah?
Yeah, I think Yeller, I think Quasi, I think Harwood-Bellis, and I think Wellington.
You don't think why Harwood-Bellis over Wood? Just out of interest.
I don't know, just a vibe of getting. I just feel like that's. I don't know. I haven't really got reasoning behind it, mate. It's just what came out.
I just think that he seems to be a player that prefers that back 3 system.
Yeah.
More so than the others. But,
okay.
And
interesting
that we keep omitting our captain in pretty much most of the team sheets that we do.
Well, I think I made my opinions on that perfectly clear earlier in the week, to be fair.
Okay.
And then what about in the middle? Yander for me got to be first name on the sheet.
It's
Who
going to be Yabba
alongside him?
Downs. It's going
Yeah.
to be Yabba Downs.
What about Bragg? Carried himself well?
He did carry himself well. I still think that it's going to be Downs. I'd
Okay.
probably prefer to see Bragg, but it will be Downs.
So,
He needs to pick up his obligatory yellow card, right? We've told you he gets a break when he either eats something weird, which, to be fair, I've got to stop making jokes about because it's not his fault. He got horrific food poisoning and then has had stomach issues ever since because that stuff is nasty still. Um, or his obligatory break that he gets after he's suspended, after he picks up red card after red card after red card. He's already had one this season, right? So
yeah.
he's due his second one soon.
And then what? I guess front four, although you'd call one of them dropping into the midfield, I guess, as like a number 10. What? Fellows, Armour, Cienza, Azaz?
I guess that makes the most sense. That's what we'd probably call our strongest at this point, right?
Yeah. Matsky got a goal last week. Did he get rewarded with a place in the team?
He did. I think he'll get a team. I think he'll be on the bench. I don't know if he'll start. If I'm totally honest, I think it'll probably be Azaz over him, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I don't know if we talked about it on air or off air, actually, or if we didn't talk about it at all. But like Cienza gets all of the praises, and Azaz gets like mentioned as like such a hot and cold player when statistically speaking, Azaz has much more goal contributions. So it's kind of interesting how perspective skews things, right? Like sometimes
It really does.
we give a free pass on certain aspects because of the sort of other personal elements he brings to the team. Whereas Azaz
That's
kind
why
of
that stuff's important, isn't it? Right. This is
yeah.
why there's a lot of arguments around who's the quote unquote goat. Right. The whole Messi Ronaldo thing has gone on over a long time, mainly due to the personalities of the players. Obviously, their accolades as well. But yeah, I'd probably argue that's true. But it's because I think you can see the fight in Cienza, whereas the how frustrated Azaz was after the Middlesbrough game can be construed as, oh, he's annoyed about his old club and wants to kind of give it back to the other fans. It's not because he cares about us. And I kind of feel bad for him because it was like when he came on for Cienza that one time, right? And everyone booed and got mad. And again, it's because I think that you see he's a bit more stoic, I'd say, than Cienza, right? You see it on Cienza's face. You see it in the conversations that he has. With Azaz, he's kind of joined. And I also think that, like, since Cienza's been in the team, the difference and the vibe was palpable, right? Same with
Yeah.
when like he was missing from the Millwall game. With Azaz, he was in the team a lot to begin with, Understill, didn't really do a lot, came out, came back in, and that since then has kind of had his like rise in popularity, but alongside everybody starting to really, really love Cienza. And you're right. I just think there's just some personality politics and like not intentionally, just because of who they are as people. And I think that
he's clearly a much more reserved player who sort of tries to keep his head down and get on with it. Whereas actually going about it even less successfully, but in a slightly more out there manner, is at least is visible, right? It's
this is what people talk about with the manager issue all the time, mate. This is the issue that we've had people call out our managers for being sort of boring and this and the other. And like, oh well, it was the biggest problem that people had with Still straight away was because he was quite softly spoken and quite sort of reserved and would think about what he said. But like, whereas you've exactly said like, oh yeah, we should get like a Warnock or Allardyce in. It's like, why do they play the most incredible football? No, they're just like angry, shouty blokes, right? It's like people that want Roy Keane at Manchester United. Do they genuinely think that he would be an incredible manager, or do you just think, oh, but it'd be great though, wouldn't it? It'd be great. It'd be great. It'd be entertaining. It'd be great. Like you could tell they care, and it's the same thing where we as a fan base did not get on with Nathan Jones, but he's really done well at places like Luton and Charlton because once people have warmed up to his like absolute off his rocker insanity, like they're quite happy to be like my gaffer sort of thing. And I think that does also translate to players on the pitch. There are always going to be those that are reserved. And you've talked about it before with people like Shea Charles, right? He does all of the quiet, off the ball work that no one kind of notices, and he's not being super loud and super vocal. But he was, when he was playing under Still, very important to the way the team were trying to play. but he's not going to get all of the same level of the accolades as people who are loud. And that is also that's just how humans work as well, right? Sometimes people who are stoic will fall under the radar more than people that are loud. Complete slight tangent about human psychology more than anything else.
Oh, I
But
love it,
yeah,
man.
I think it is. I think it is kind of unfair that Azaz kind of gets significantly more stick when it's actually contributed probably like more goals and stuff.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
again, it's just like you can see it in Tienza's eyes, right?
Yeah.
And that's I think the biggest difference.
That Brazilian passion, mate, it's unmatched. Everyone remembers Lianco for it. So Ross Stewart, we saw him make an appearance off the bench last week. We've talked a lot about profiles of strikers, right? Especially when it comes to like Damien Downs, who's now out on loan. But Ross Stewart definitively offers something different. So does that mean that we actually have an opportunity to potentially see something of a plan B if needed?
Yeah, it would
Something
require
that,
us
that we've been
playing
called
into
out
that,
for?
right? This is the problem: is that I worry. This is where the player power conversation comes into effect a little bit more from the other day, right? Where okay, so there's a plan B. The manager relays the instructions for plan B, and then they keep doing plan A. We've seen that so much this season. Right, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We're going to lob balls to Cam Archer, but guys, you need to pass it like through the channels to Cam Archer. Nah. We're just going to lob balls over to him. He's going to miss out. Okay, fine. I see what you're doing. We'll take Cam off. We'll put Ross Stewart on. What are you going to do now? Feed balls through to him? What? I don't think it's a lack of plan B. I think plan B is there. It's just executing it, and I think it's a struggle to kind of ask everyone to kind of suddenly switch mentality. But they're going to have to figure out how to do it sooner or later. Or otherwise, we're going to continue languishing where we are. So yeah, I think that it's good to have other options. I feel really bad for him because when he got injured again, he went into his, he scored like 2 goals in that game. I think it was the game before or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's going to be difficult because they're going to want to manage his minutes. So I don't think he'll play a lot if he does, but it does offer something different. It's just whether or not it will be
Pays
able to
off.
make a difference, right? That's the
Well,
problem.
I mean, there is some hope at least that it won't need to. Hopefully, we'll just have the game put away by then. Be 5-0 up and singing all the way.
I'd be fine to have a Tonda Eckert classic of we go 3-0 up and then we maybe concede one and that was it. Right?
Yeah.
I'd happily reverse the score of the fixture from the other game. I just don't know if I
100%.
necessarily see if we're back to that yet.
In the slightly wider context of the week, another 3 games in 7 days. 2 home games, though, this time. Saturday, Wednesday. And then a game on Sunday that might be the most important of the 3. How much should Tonda be bearing that in mind? Bearing in mind, notoriously, we're not great on the 3rd game of a 3-game week.
Yeah, they're just going to need to suck it up.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say.
I mean,
Like,
if you can't pull your breeches up and get yourself fired up for a 3rd game in a week when that 3rd game is the local derby and one of the more famous, more potent derbies that is a rarity. If you can't get yourself fired up to go and try and win at Fratton Park, what are you even doing wearing a Saints shirt? Basically, I swear it's got to land, right?
And this is the thing. Like my only worry is they overcomplicate it by switching out the entirety of the side on Wednesday to try and prepare for that Sunday game. And
yeah,
man, it'd be so nice to pick up points. But I think if we are not going to get promoted this season, if where you're at, which is you're not worried about us dropping down, we've already drawn 1 game against them. The only thing that people are going to have left at that point is that game against Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Which means we need to win it probably more than anything else so far this season. And I think it would be, I don't know, you wonder how much of an effect this would be for Sports Republic if we lost that game.
2 home games and an away South Coast derby. Let's ask you the hard question. 6 points and a loss to Portsmouth, or 3 points from 3 games, but one of them is beating Pompey?
Well, as I said, we're not really in contention for anything this season, in my opinion. So it's
Yeah.
beating Portsmouth.
Yeah.
I'm going to be annoyed if we lose Sheffield United. I'm going to be annoyed if we lose the Hull. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be as annoyed as if we lost to Portsmouth in like a really embarrassing way because we managed to win the two other games and then we've got like injuries and stuff. Like
You're right. It's magical
what we're
option
praying
3,
for.
mate. 9 points. Let's do it. Come on. Right. We are rapidly running out of time, so let's get into the bit everyone wants, mate. The score predictions. As is tradition, going to throw you under the bus. How you feeling? What do you think?
I don't know, like what's not a loss but would still annoy everyone, like some sort of 1-1 draw, probably, but maybe because it's a high scoring affair, 2-2. Like I'm sorry, until they can prove to me that we can win games again. Can't predict the loss. I don't quite have that in me yet. But I also can't. I just don't think we're going to win either because we seem to just struggle to do. I don't know, run at the moment. Yeah, maybe let's go with 2-2.
Where are the goals coming from?
I'd like to see Jalert get one. It's never going to be Fellows. He's just never going to score. Like the more you have cursed the poor man, he is never going to score because you always predict him to score. And then I don't know, maybe Armour. Armour's had a big long run of not scoring. It's about time he scores again.
Yeah, all right. I'll take that. I think I'd take a 2 draw, to be honest. I think that'd be all right. Yeah. I'm feeling a bit more confident than that. It
I'm
won't
shocked.
surprise you to hear. I'm thinking 4-2.
Right.
Yeah. High scoring. I reckon it's 4-0 up at half time and 2 awful goals in the second half, probably from corners. Hull are set piece specialist, supposedly. Lots of corners. It's just going to come back and bite us, but not enough to like not be comfortable, but enough to be annoying. But yeah, 4-2.
Okay. Interesting.
Armour, Archer, Azaz, Cienza. Nah, Archer won't be on the pitch in the first half. That's wrong.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by
Fellows.
that. It was going so well. You might have been right.
But yeah, let's do it. Yeah, 4 goals. Although once again, I'm doomed from my prediction to not see any of our goals in front of the northern end. But I mean, that just seems to be the norm at this point. May never see a goal there again. Who knows? Right, mate. That's it. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Let us know. How do you think the game's going to go? Let us know your score predictions, your thoughts in the comments on the socials. We are Daily Saints Pod everywhere. We are Daily Saints Pod everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Hit us up. Let us know. We love hearing from you. Regardless of how it goes, though, we will be back here to talk about it. So until then, hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And come on, you Saints.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.